Good morning, my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy. I'm coming to you live from Applewood Station in Denver, Colorado, where it is a minus 6 degrees Celsius, and we've had a little bit of snow, but this was actually kind of more of an ice storm because the roads are not covered in snow, but they're covered in ice, and it's been pretty brutal out there. So, all right, we are starting this morning off rather late because I was just not moving that much this morning. I'm going to get us some music running. I see Sansi's here. I see Brent. Brent has been, Brent, or not Brent. Sansi's been talking a little bit that I've been reading while during the opening credits, and I was like, that's an interesting thought. And I wonder what you had said about prior to the show's opening. You were talking about the idea that, it is sort of a stereotype that the older people don't understand technology. And I wonder if that's unique to Gen X, because Gen X, of course, I built my first PC. I had a box, and then I went to the store and I got a motherboard and I put that in, and then went back to the store and got some memory and put that in. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in the world where, in the very beginning, we just had BBSs. You took your phone off the hook and you put it on the modem, and you hit transmit and receive on the modem, and then your modem, did the screechy thing and communicated out there, and then you dialed a BBS like a phone number, and it'd pick up the channel, and then you'd hear it go beep beep boop beep 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 beep. So I mean, like, it auto dialed, and then it would ring, and then you'd hear it screech at each other. Then the external speaker on the modem would turn off. I guess that's the stage that you're like, I grew up in the external speaker on the modem era. But I am finding myself slowing down. I'm getting more and more annoyed with my phone. Everything is on my phone. And I'm finding that much more complicated and difficult. PDC 16. Oh, yeah. I mean, my first actual, my first. Hang on. Hold that thought, because we've got some thoughts here. Because in this drawer, no, I didn't have an Apple one. The school had apples at one point in time. But let's see here. That's right. None of this is what I wanted. Let's put the other thing. Right, I was going to say, who had the first one? Are you talking to me or are you talking to Sansa? All right. I don't know why this is so difficult. I also don't know why I did this. I did this to myself. All right. Alrighty. Now I have the right things. Because my first PC was this guy. Come on, figure it out. Hello. Hello, computer. It's hard to read because it's all blurry. But I totally had to learn to run. But I mean, almost. This was my first PC. It was. And I even have the Math Co processor on the back of it. So there's the Math Co. This is my 486, which I moved up to and thought I was so cool because I moved up to a 486. And I still keep the chips. I took the chips off the boards. And of course, a long time ago, the boards have gone the way of the Dodo. But I still keep the processors because they are nostalgic. Oh no, I like that joke. That's a joke that's. So I often tell people that the first car I ever drove was a Model T. This isn't actually a lie. It actually is the real, honest to goodness truth. In 5th grade, maybe 6th grade, might have been 6th grade, a buddy of mine who had 2 Model Ts, his family had 2 Model Ts. The family brought the Model Ts to the elementary school. And they just wanted, I had been part of that family forever. I was the kid. The kid and I were best buds. We're still good friends, even today. But they had left Lizzie out in the parking lot, and they needed to move Lizzie to a parking space. And so my buddy's dad said, "Hey, will you go move Lizzie over to a parking space?" And I had watched them do it, and so my buddy and I both went over, and my buddy said, "You do it." And I sat in the driver's seat, and we started up Lizzie, and I put the clutch into low and tootled 20 feet to a parking space. So literally the first car I ever drove was a Model T. But I tell people that now because the entertainment value is super high that, I'm so old, the first car I ever drove was a Model T, But the truth was that was 1980, 85? 1985. So it wasn't like it really was 1912, 20. speaking of fun artifacts, um, because I was showing the those chips, this is one of my favorite artifacts. This is a mock-up of the phone I had in Japan. Here, it's not the real phone. If you went to phone stores in Japan, sometimes they would have little mock-ups. And so, yeah, I'm about 10 years older than you. They'd have these mock-ups so you could, see what the feel was and whether you liked it and things like that. And I had gotten a model like this except white. And just before we left Japan, we went into a Vodafone store and they were throwing these all away. And so I said, "Oh, hey, can I have this one? Because this is the exact same model as my phone." And they're like, "It doesn't work. It's not a real phone." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I know exactly. I'm a teacher, and sometimes in class, I want my students to listen to, or pretend like they're making phone calls, and I don't need a working one. I need one that, looks similar, but it doesn't have to be a working one." "Yeah, sure, you can have it. That's no problem." I said, "I'll buy it from you." "Oh, you don't need to buy it. We're throwing them away." So I brought it home with me, and it's the model of my phone, but it's a mock-up. There's no battery in it. There's no electronics. The screen doesn't work. Little picture on the screen is, some little the screens have some little like cardboard picture in it. But then at some point, somebody was talking to me and saying, "How did you ever write texts back and forth on the flip phone days?" And I was like, "Well, our keypads, which my camera really does not want to focus. The keypads have hiragana on them, and all you did was the same thing you did here. So here, you'd have A, B, C, and D, E, F, and G, H, I, etc. And so you just tap these one or two times to make them do whatever letter you wanted, and you did the same thing with these. The difference was that it was each gyo is on here. So this is the kagyo, and this is the sagyo, and the tagyo, and the nagyo, and then one was the agyo, or the vowels. So you just had to know what it was, but they're all in absolute order. So kagyo is always going to be kakekukeko, kakikukeko, I'm sorry. And a will be a, I, u, e, o. And they'll always be in that order. So all you had to do is just press the right one until you got to the right gyo. And you get to the point where you were really going pretty fast. And you still could go pretty fast. Then it would offer up different kanji to write. Those are the things that sometimes really are fascinating to me. Like old technology like this is interesting. And so I keep this with me all the time just to remember what it was like. Yeah. So it's just interesting. I did like this. I kind of miss these days. You know what I mean? I miss the days of simplicity like this. I'm not going to complain. I like the modern days too. And there have been times where I'm like, I can't imagine what it would be like to go back to the days of flip phones, because the flip phones would be fun to play with, but the speeds of the PCs would drive me crazy. Or lack therein. Because there'd be no speed. Yeah, right? Well, that was the other thing. Everything in Japan was ahead. And you're right, it's like the same thing. Everybody would be going gaga over, "My phone has a camera." And I was like, well, my phone had a camera before I left. "But these have cameras." Yeah. Alrighty. Today's job is, I have been looking at, there is tutorial online on adjusting and moving over imports. So I'm going to do some import work all of a sudden, I think, because we're going to try something. Well, maybe not. Let's see here. I'm going to try something else. This is from 2019. And it's saying that the site of one of their tools is missing. Because I've got clip 3. So let's bring up clip 3 and I'll move us over. So looking at clip 3, I updated to Clip Studio 3 because I am much more inclined to give Clip Studio Paint my money as long as they're keeping these upgrades as a permanent, I won't lose it because I didn't pay my bill this week thing. Minicon was okay. I liked Minicon. It was a fun con. I sat next to my buddy Raphael, and I sold 3 sets of Bellatrix Rising comics, which was good, and that was a positive. It was a very positive con. I enjoyed it, but it's little. It's a little teeny con, and really what happens is I show up, Raph shows up. We had both of the Joes, Andy. So the guys from Bad Comics were there, which is Bad Comics is one of the off branches of Red Team Go. So it's Andy and Joe and a guy that I just met, whom now I'll recognize his face, but I won't recognize his name for a while. And then, of course, Joe Oliver showed up, who's just a phenomenal artist, and he's so good. And then Raph and I showed up, and who else was there? From the Indie K world, we had Roger and Nonywhere, which is good to see. I like to see them still making it and making it out there and going from day to day doing things. But that was cool. It was a good one. I don't know. I just kind of liked it. So, but I think it's really what I would call a visit con. Like, I go to these conventions and I don't make a lot of money, but I talk to people and I go around and visit. So I made about $60 tops, and I spent 15 of that on a side swipe that is in Prowl's colors. And I was so excited to find Sideswipe and Prowl's colors that I was like, ooh, I gotta have that. So yeah, it's like a networking event. So I have a Sideswipe now that's in Prowl colors. I don't know if you call that Prowl or if you call it Sideswipe. I have no earthly idea. But I'm always enamored by, it's me. Robots are a thing. I will always be in love with robots, and Transformers are definitely on my list of things. And I talked to the guy, and he thinks he might have a blue streak. That's my what do you want to call it? The golden idol. That's my dream mecca. I've never had quite the money to afford the MP18B, which is the blue streak masterpiece collection, because it's too expensive. But that's always been my dream. Hey, somebody's here. That somebody is Pepper. And why didn't I hear the beepy thing beep?
I didn't even hear the beepy thing. Normally I hear it.
Yeah, I don't think it beeped. Which is why I didn't let you in 10 minutes ago or whatever, whenever you showed up. I've been over on OBS trying to get my OBS reconfigured because it updated this morning. So I had to reconfigure it, but that means that I'm not looking at the main control panel here on Restream. I'm still hoping that OBS will someday let me have control of the browser on it. Because the biggest problem I have with OBS right now is that the internal browser it's a Chrome browser, but it won't let you get to the properties menu. And so you have to give permission for Restream to use the camera. And I can't, because I can't get into the properties. So it's always been just frustrating to me. How you doing, Pepper?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I was talking about, I went to Minicon, and what I really did was purchase a Sideswipe in Prowl's colors. So it's a police car Lamborghini and transforms into, I guess, Sideswipe, but I don't think it's got Prowl's head. So I haven't transformed it totally yet because they're complicated nowadays. Transformers aren't as simple as they used to be. They are markedly more complex now.
I mean, I remember some of my Transformers from like the late 80s. I still had some until like I was in the mid 90s when I did the big toy purge.
Yep.
I will state, original 80s Transformers, not gonna lie, they were kind of difficult to maneuver.
Yeah, they were. But they were also made of die-cast metal.
That is true.
Which would, that, I mean, like this new Sideswipe, I mean, he only cost $15, which is nice, but he's all plastic. And I'm sitting there going, I've got to be, and he's got little teeny moving pieces, and I'm like, you really have to be careful with this guy. Transform him. You don't want to, you can rip a door off real quick, you know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take a lot of effort.
Yeah, I got asked if I wanted to be at a convention coming up, and I basically just said, no, it's all right. I'm focusing on my health this year. I also let my tax license expire because I'm not going to be selling at conventions.
Yeah, that's sort of where I am too.
And I mean, I just, I'm like just trying to figure out what I want to do right now. That's about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I'm at home, if I'm just like in my office, I don't need to put my doctor's like, hey, yeah, when you're sitting upright and you're doing stuff, or if you're like standing up and you're doing stuff and you're not overstimulating yourself, great, don't use oxygen. The moment you get on the treadmill, the moment you go outside for a walk because you want some exercise, you need oxygen. If you try to take a nap, you need oxygen.
That's so rough.
So, and then but basically what I'm trying to get at is like doing those events, I can't get out of using oxygen at those events.
Right.
And when I'm finding that when I'm on oxygen, it also makes me more susceptible to getting sick. Not in a good way, like in a upper respiratory way.
Well, there's a good way to get sick. I
Yeah,
didn't know there was a good way to get sick.
I don't know either. But basically, the last time I got sick, they put me through with antibiotics and steroids in order for me to get past being sick, and it's not a fun feeling. So I usually get con crud every single time I go to a convention. So I think I'm just not wanting to
Yeah.
deal with it. Sorry, you asked me on how I was doing. You got it loaded.
No, no, no. You're not. You're not bothering me at all. You do you, boo. You know how it goes. You do you.
Yeah. So how was the landmark show?
You mean Minicon?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. Like I was saying to the guys here, I feel like that one's kind of more of a get together with everybody and meet with them. I made $60, but I spent 15 of it on a transformer. So that
Well, I mean,
you know,
the landmark show, I like it because it's very kid friendly. It is very much
yeah,
family oriented, kid friendly. We've done one of their shows before, and they're the thank you for asking. Even though I feel like I'm like overloading people with information about myself. Um, I I like the show. I just like again like I have to pick and choose carefully now, and I'm choosing not to do any this year. So, but I always like that show because if you have a kid oriented product or a kid oriented storyline, you tend to do very well, and you get like really instant feedback from the kids that go to that one.
yeah.
We had a little girl camp out at our table and ask us questions, one right after another, about our entire story. So, uh, Bill likes that one just because of that. He was actually being asked
Okay.
questions because normally they don't ask the questions to the writer. So, you know,
Nice.
he got praise essentially.
Hmm.
So, but I mean, you were tabling with Raph though, so you had the uphill battle of battling out with Raph. Raph fans.
Yeah, although I think we did roughly the same as far as attracting people. The problem was that Raph made some much higher sales than I did. But I think both of us had about 3 or 4 people stop by. It's just that one of his got a commission out of him. So
I mean,
sold for a whole lot more than I did, which is fine. You know,
that's typical though. Like he gets a lot of commissions at those.
he does. He does. And I find that acceptably cool. Like apparently they made a killing at the powwow, which I would not have expected, but they did. I went and visited with them and hung out with them at the powwow, and that was kind of fun too. Hi, George.
So you went from there to the powwow?
No, the powwow was 2 weeks ago. So
okay,
but I mean, this is the show right after the powwow, so he was like, "It's very calm compared to the powwow," which I can imagine. So that was anyway. I had gone to the powwow to see him because my mom used to go to powwow all the time with me when I was a kid, at the Coliseum. And so I love going to the powwow. It just reminds me of being with my mom, and I miss my mom from time to time. And so this was a great, But now that Christina and Raph are at powwow all the time, it actually means more to me now. It's not just a nostalgic
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm actually going there now to see my buddies. And Christina's
Mm-hmm.
dad was the one who composed the song that they were singing at the beginning of powwow this year. So I
Mm-hmm.
really like that song, which, that's cool. So, and I was like, hey, I've sung karaoke with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of cool.
Well, I mean, Christina's dad is cooler than Raph, so
Yeah.
he's always been cooler than Raph.
Yeah.
And I've told Raph this.
Yeah, I know. I know. Hard to compete with her dad. Just saying.
Yeah, it is really hard to compete with Christina's dad. It
So true.
really is.
Anyway. Yep. So if you're wondering what I'm doing over here, I am trying to. There is a way to import um, the files. Well, maybe. What if there's actually a different way? There's a way to import a 3D file into Clip. There was a video I was watching on it importing a model from Daz Studio into CSP, but it's 3 years old, and it requires a program that no longer exists. So now I'm like, well, that was 3 years ago. There's got to be an easier way to do it, and this is Clip Studio version 3 because I went ahead and
Mm-hmm.
upgraded to the newest version.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, there has to be a way to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing now. Which is what I'm doing. Wonder. "2D artists should use 3D models," says this particular author. How do you add textures to the Clip Studio 3D model? Click texture image in the tool property. But first things first, let's get this over here. Okay. I'll have to run tone on her. I'm not going to do that. The tool properly and select the image file for the texture from the dialog box for selecting a file. What? Well, here's the tool property. I like giving them that, because you can actually unselect the light source, which is fine, but I need to get back to, can I apply an on top of it material?
Sounds dirty. on top of it material.
Yeah. Wow. You can really like adjust stuff here. It's kind of cool.
Kind of like when someone asks the question, "Why do you even know why Charles Xavier named us the X-Men?" And someone responds, "Well, he didn't want to call us a seaman."
Always true. You watch out for that. Wow, you can change like every little bit. This is kind of cool. I'm a hobbit.
You're a hobbit?
Well, look. I mean, I can make him into a hobbit.
That's not a hop. That's not a hobbit. Their legs need to be shorter.
We're working on that. I just discovered I can do the torso. Wait,
Ah,
there we go.
yeah. The arms are pretty long.
Well, yeah. Each piece has to be fixed themselves here, so we have to like, go through the pieces here because I could make the arms shorter too, or longer.
Mm.
Thinner or thicker. Wow, you can do all kinds of stuff. And the interface is not bad. Like, this isn't bad. That's actually kind of cool. I can like manipulate anything. Now, if I can just get this material to change so it's not the lines.
It doesn't like these, so it's not going to change.
Yeah.
Looking at, I saw pictures of my 11-year-old niece from this, like, I don't know if it was this past weekend or the weekend before. 11 years old. She has the face of a teenager already.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there's a distinct face that happens once anyone becomes a teenager. And you instantly know that your teenager does not like or think you're cool anymore.
Yeah, see if I can just get the ability to map onto this 3D model my character's artwork. How do I do that? Click texture image in the tool property. We're in the tool property.
I've been playing around with typesetting in Procreate.
How's that working?
It's actually not bad. It's a learning curve for sure.
Right. Makes sense.
But it's not bad in the sense of they only give you as an option to do type within a square, like a rectangle or like a square like shape.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you can't do it, like I haven't figured out on how people do it within like curves and stuff like that, so that's where I'm trying to figure that out, because it's been very interesting in text bubbles.
Right.
Have you watched the new X-Men 1997 yet?
No, but I've heard chatter about it.
Okay. I haven't watched it yet. I watched the show back in the day when it was like first on. I know it's like a continuation type deal. Um, I've just been seeing a lot of people react to the portrayal of Gambit
Yeah, Gambit's the one I've been hearing a lot about, and Rogue.
in Rogue. And then I've heard a little bit of here and there about Storm's storyline as well. And Jean Grey, of course, being pregnant with Scott Summers' baby.
Well, that seems like a good addition. I was hearing that there was a lot of alteration to it, to like they aren't as sexy or something, and I was like, that was your argument this whole time? You know, that was what you guys were mad about? You know.
Well, I know some people are a little bit peeved because they make, like, for some weird reason, people are sitting there saying that Gambit in a crop top making beignets in the kitchen is gay. And the man blows things up with pink plasma. His uniform on the X-Men is essentially a bisexual flag.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like I don't know if I worry that much. It doesn't seem like that's a thing.
And then, like from Southern culture, he's a raging Cajun, like, and doesn't give a two hoots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, I really don't understand the problem with this, because he was literally like this when he was introduced.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those, I don't know what people are whining about on that one.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, so he's gay.
He's not, though. He's with Rogue right at the beginning of the series.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is, so what if he is? You know?
I don't think he, and...
He could be bi.
Yeah, I really don't... I mean, I don't think it really matters. He's a fictional character from a comic book put into an animation.
It doesn't matter. I don't...
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm not opposed. I'm just like... I never really thought of it.
So, doing the whole Rogue storyline, falling in love with Magneto, I mean... that kind of can lead to a very specific type of mutant being born, and I'm there for it.
Right?
Why? Because he can turn people into molten... like, he can turn people into metal.
Right?
And their child does ultimately actually make Magneto go back to the good side, the good side in that universe.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you read Exiles, you actually find out about this kid anyway. So, like, I'm, there. And he's only a member of the Exiles because instead of accidentally killing his first girlfriend, like his mom killed her first boyfriend, he ended up killing his own mother.
Right.
With his mutant powers. And then it sent his father back onto the dark side. Uncanny. Uncanny X-Men.
Right.
I only liked the X-Men show for another reason. They incorporated the Spider-Man 1997 into that show a lot. Several crossover episodes back in the day. One in which that they proved that that version of Peter Parker had a mutant ability that came out after he was Spider-Man.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was so the storyline's a little convoluted. So they ask Spider-Man. They go to New York. They find Spider-Man. They ask him to be part of the team, and he's like, "Well, I wasn't born with the powers." Blah blah blah. And they're like, "Well, let's take a DNA sample and find out. Let's see if the spider bite just activated your powers, right?" And it turns out like his danger sense was like a type of ability that's tied to precognition mutant abilities. And so all his spider bite did was activate what was already in him.
So latent.
Yeah. And then give him additional abilities. But the way they go about it and prove it is kind of convoluted, kind of like a lot of 90s storylines.
Yeah.
Catch my drift?
Yep.
I mean, if you watch the original 1990s Spider-Man cartoon show anyways, he reveals who he is to a child that happens to be in a hospital for kids who are about to die.
Right. Because he figures that's pretty safe.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
Yeah. We're just saying.
80s and 90s. The whole reason why a whole bunch of people are now sarcastic a-holes.
You're not wrong.
And they find dark humor very, very efficient.
I mean, we're just saying, but it's true.
And I have to say, the 70s weren't that far off from them, too.
Right?
I've seen some jokes. Oh, I also went to Buc-ee's this past weekend.
Oh, yeah? Because it's there.
Yeah, it's there. There were people line dancing in the parking lot. They were eating the sandwiches, the barbecue that was inside. They brought it out to their truck. They put the tailgate down. They turned up music and started line dancing in the parking lot while eating. I was like, I did not realize it was a tailgate party. I did not know this. Right. But for them, it was. One of my friends did warn me that people were very rude. And I will agree with her sentiment that she told me. Because, yeah, people were not really caring. They did not care if they hit you with their cart. Yes, this place has carts. I've never known a gas station with carts and carry things. It was bizarre. It reminds me of a combination of Yeehaw Junction, which is in Florida, and Cracker Barrel.
Right. So we call it Cracker Junction, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Cracker Junction is an apt name for it. Cracker Junction. You know what? I'm gonna post that on Facebook because that's private for friends and family only. I need a... Yeah.
That one just has way too many subplots. Great.
Yeah, but the fact that you said Cracker Junction, I mean...
I mean, I'm just saying. This is us being well. There, that happened. That's a there that happened moment. Okay, I'm still trying to figure out here. There was something it was showing on how to make add. I'm wondering if it's just so easy and so stupid that nobody's putting it out there on the web because you just click change the whatever. And I'm like, well, okay, but oh yeah. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. See if it works. Yeah, see, that didn't.
Some people may be very mad at me about posting that, but I'm only posting in one place. So, whatever. I needed to get that out of my system. Cracker Junction, man.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Cracker Junction. I'm actually almost done with the line art for one of the images that I did. So I'm hoping to get that done today. And then make some headway on some of my comic making. But I have a bunch of chores to get done today, and the snow will help that basically do.
Yep, the snow will help not at all. Although all of our snow seems to be gone for the most part. It's
The
even
road-
off the sidewalks.
Yeah, our roads are pretty much clear already.
That's kind of where we are.
I mean, I will state that, like, waking up this morning, we have a thick layer of snow on our roof. Yeah. Thick enough for me to come out and basically be like, oh, that's noticeable. And it was like about a foot off of the roof and still holding. So like we literally had like snow like coming, like here's the roof, and like the snow was out to here on our roof.
Right.
So it's supposed to be spring, right?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you'll find this funny or not, but one of our DMs
Uh-huh.
was basically he did a whole entire campaign for St. Patrick's Day.
That's
And
cool.
right, so like he's explaining the thing, and he's like, and he gets to the term, and he goes, the Celts. And I'm like, who the hell are you talking about? And he's like, the Irish people. I'm like, you mean Celts?
The
And
South.
then he's like, but isn't it like Celtic? And I'm like, you mean the Celtic?
Yeah, but he's talking about the sports team, which is
Yeah,
pronounced
like
Celtics.
that, like, and he's like, but like in sports, I was like, that's sports. That's sports. And then he's like, there's in the Celtic language, and I'm like, you mean Gaelic? And like people are like in our thing, and he's like, it's just Irish. It's just Irish.
Right.
And I'm like, it's Gaelic. Gaelic's the language. Celtic is the people.
Issues.
I I I don't know. St. Patrick's Day is probably the worst day that I ever have in the entire year. Because like everyone's like wearing green, and everyone's like I'm a little Irish today, and I'm like I'm Irish every day and all day. It's
I know a little Irish. He's right over there. Anyway,
yeah,
I know a little German. He's right over there.
yeah.
It's one of my favorite jokes from Top Secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goofy little cat. Are you my goofy little cat? George is like, you haven't paid attention to me in almost 40 seconds.
Well, it's also like I also get irritated because people send me these things on St. Patrick's Day every single year. I get it at least sent to me once every year, and I basically have to tell the people every single time. St. Patrick was a Welsh man. He was not Roman. It's very well documented. He was Welsh. He was like, and like a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, he was not even alive when this happened. And this was the wrong time period. Completely. Please please stop sharing this with me. Like, just stop. Like, yeah.
St. Patrick was obviously a Trekkie. I'm just saying.
You know what? That I can believe.
Right? You'll go with that
That
one.
I can believe. You would not believe on how many people I know who are Trekkie and are Irish. Okay?
There you go. That's fair.
That I can believe. If St. Patrick was here in modern day,
He would have been
probably be a Trekkie. Okay?
right. Just saying. This is my belief, and I'm sticking to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I'm Scottish, so there's that. I actually found, speaking of Trekkie, I have found the Starfleet tartan, so I'm going to be getting a kilt made in the Starfleet tartan.
Oh, nice.
Because really, you wear the tartans that align to you, and my family tartan. I mean, I'm family steward, so like my family tartan is literally plaid. The plaid you think of when you think of plaid.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's so boring. And to boot, it's so freaking red that it clashes if I wear blue uniforms, which I would when I'm wearing my Starfleet uniforms. I'm always wearing in blue. So luckily the Starfleet tartan is in all three colors, red, yellow, and blue, but it's mostly sort of a dark navy. So it'll fit just fine.
So I found out that my last name is from an area that does have tartans in Scotland. My original name that I was born with.
Right.
My last name.
Uh-huh.
and I fall under two camps. One is Fraser, and the other is Campbell's. And they are like the Hatfields and McCoy.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are about as gory as you could possibly get.
Yeah. But here's the fun thing. Bill's family has ties to the Campbells and MacArthur's.
There you go.
And so essentially, if I fall under the Fraser, which I do have French heritage, which means I am under the Fraser,
Uh-huh.
that means I married the other side.
You did. You totally are a traitor. Just
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
No, my family is Stewart. About as traditional Stewart as it gets. Like, my grandmother has a direct line all the way back to James the First. Pedigreed
cool.
and everything.
Yeah,
But,
Bill is an Orr under County Stewart,
Yep.
I believe. But researching it, like, we have to do a little bit more research to pinpoint location. Because he could fall under a couple of different families.
Right.
And messages with Bill. We're talking about tartans and stuff. Of course he appears.
Because I have found out that there is a Starfleet tartan. And so I am going to order a kilt and a fly in Starfleet colors.
Ah, whoa.
And it's you can only do it if you belong to Starfleet, which is the biggest fan club. Biggest Star, and of course I do. I have a Starfleet registration number. And so you can order it if you have the registration number, and I do. And so I was going to order a tartan in it because, as I was saying to Pepper, I'm from family Stewart, which means that my plaid is plaid. The plaid you think of when you think of plaid, that's my plaid. It's as boring as you can get.
Yeah.
And so,
if you look into Stewart,
yeah, there are a number of other plaids, but like
Yeah,
the standard plaid is that red plaid that everybody thinks of.
that's a base clan. So Stewart basically was after Britain or the British came in and established the false monarchy, if you will.
Yep.
They took a whole bunch of clans and brought them all together and said, okay, you're staying Clan Stewart. And so what you probably want to look for is a sept. A sept was most likely your original clan or from what your original origin is. Mine is either Campbell or one of the criminal ones.
Right.
Which,
We were just talking about Campbell and Fraser being
Also
like
MacArthur.
in fights against each other. Because of course they were.
yeah, because it was basically Campbell supported the one that was Stewart, and the other ones didn't.
Right.
And when the Stewart one took power, you either disbanded your clan or you fought to the death. So
Right.
what happened is those got absorbed into their adjacent clans often. So you end up becoming the other clan or die.
Right. Well, but that was the whole thing. Is also, I do wear kilts quite a bit, but I try not to.
Hey, Tim.
Hey Tim, we try not to. I try not to, go out of my way to sort of highlight the Stewart clan part. So I've been trying to find ones that work for me. Usually I wear the Scottish Pride one, which is purple.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was really excited to find out that there's a Starfleet tartan because that's ideal, right?
I mean, I just want to point out that since I am primarily Irish, I am in Clan Cian.
Right.
And their clan tartan is a beautiful light blue with a bunch of other accents. And I'm still waiting to afford the fabric to make my tartan because apparently that's what you have to do in that clan.
Right. But yeah, that's what I'm going to for Iacon. Last year when I was doing Iacon, there was a whole bunch of traditional uh, Native American dress, and the problem is that the Iacon um, board is trying not to say that this is a Native American convention. It's just hosted by the Native Americans, but it's for everybody, and it's a heritage convention. So I was like, okay, well, next year I'll wear a kilt and things like that to show that it's not just natives, it's not just Native Americans. So, but then I was like, oh, but I can wear the dress blues from Strange New Worlds because I've ordered that, so that wonderful dress blue that they're wearing in Strange New Worlds, but it's like, but it'll clash with the purple from my Scottish Pride, so Scotland Pride. So I was like, oh man, but of course the Starfleet tartan fits with blue, red, or yellow, which makes total sense, right? Because you should be, it should fit with any of the Starfleet uniforms. So that was actually really cool. So I'm going to order that soon, and then I'm going to actually get the fly as well. So not just the kilt, but the fly that goes over the side. And I'm going to have to find a way to secure it because you're supposed to be wearing your ribbons here. So it's hard with the fly covering the ribbons. You can't do that. But when you look at Scotty, when he was wearing his uniform, the brooch that held the fly on was up here on the shoulder. So my fly is open. Yes. But it was up on my shoulder. Or it was up on Scotty's shoulder, so I can make a brooch that goes here. So now I'm just I've been looking on Thingiverse for an appropriate, seal of the United Federation of Planets that would make a good brooch. And then I just go get a pin brooch that's got a flat surface and I fix it to it and then make sure it's, nice and shiny and looks like it's made of metal and yada, yada, yada. Maybe I can find somebody to cast it. That'd be kind of cool.
I want to say if you want to incorporate the ribbons and everything with the so if you're ordering your kilt, are you getting the kilt where you basically the belt that goes around is attached?
The belt that goes around?
Yeah, so you're talking about the honors, right? The ones that go up over your shoulder and across your chest, right?
Yeah, on the left shoulder, it goes over and then back down the back.
Right.
So just wanted to talk Scottish stuff.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So anyways,
Sorry, Bill.
So that whole shebang is actually the kilt. Like, it actually is supposed to be, like, holding the kilt up.
Oh, that's a different thing.
Okay.
Because what I'm talking about, and I'm clicking over here, is because Irish might have different combinations, but this is what I'm talking about. This is the fly, that's what they call it. Utility kilts. Let's go Pride Tartan kilts. I think is what we're after here. No, that's actually literally Pride, which is cool, but not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no. No, I've just been seeing people, like, who make kilts and they teach about kilt, like, protocols and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so he folded up his kilt. He did, like, the long kilt where you fold it however to the length you need it. You lay down, you roll it over you tie the belts, and then you take part of it and you put the brooch on the left-hand side, and you basically have, so instead of it going over your actual arm, he's having it, like, going over across your chest, and it's part of the kilt, is what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah. That's not the way I've ever seen it. I've seen it like this, where it just goes over your left shoulder and it's affixed to the front. But what I was saying was that the affixed point here is right where the ribbons have to be for a Starfleet uniform. So
Mm.
I was trying to figure out how to make that work, and I watched the original series, and Scotty was wearing this, but he had the fly affixed up here on his upper shoulder, so that it didn't come down over the ribbons, so that you could still see Scotty's ribbons on the front there.
Gotcha.
The cool part is Strange New Worlds has added an entire layer to the ribbons, because in the original series they were just these cloth triangles that were sewn onto the front of the uniform. But Strange New Worlds made them into like actual objects, triangular objects, 3D objects, which I assume they printed. But that's what I'm going to do, is do the same thing. I'm just going to make a bunch of them into in Blender, and then have them 3D printed, and then paint them, and then put them on as a device that fits on the front. Which I think will be fun. But yeah, in this one, I'm going to get the matching fly, which is this thing, this piece here, which goes with the tartan. And that'll work. But I've never seen what you were talking about, except for female, in the female version of it. Which doesn't mean that it's not Irish as well. You know what I mean? Like, you never know.
Oh, no. Irish kilts are Irish kilts. They are distinctively different.
Right. I was just like, I don't know if that's a thing or not. I don't know.
No, the guy that I was saying that I saw this, he is full Scottish. Like, he has a Scottish brogue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I believe you. I was just like, I've just never seen it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Oh, no, I am aware. I am aware. Hey, Kane.
Ha! Long time no see.
Been a while.
It's been a day or two. We're talking about kilts.
Yeah, I heard something about flies and brooches, and you're broaching flies, and
yeah. Sometimes there's just flies. I'm just saying.
Flies.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we gotta play the Tetris game that we haven't played in a long time.
yeah.
We haven't played that Tetris game in a while.
It's been a hot minute.
Yep. Well, that's what
I have not been to Buc-ee's yet. I refuse to go. Not until the crowds die down a little bit.
What's up?
Buc-ee's.
Oh, I will be very honest with it. There is a reason why me and Guy concluded that it is Cracker Junction.
I heard it's essentially a gas station with a Walmart attached, which is not a much better sentiment.
So, do you know what a Yeehaw Junction is?
No.
Okay, so Yeehaw Junction was this place that was very similar to Buc-ee's back in the day. It was a gas station, like you stopped, you ate, you picked up snacks when you were on a road trip, that sort of deal. Okay? You combine that with Cracker Barrel, and that's what Buc-ee's is.
I call it Cracker Junction.
Yeah, so Cracker Junction. When me and Bill were there, when me and Bill were there was people who, yeah. I hope you're talking to about Yeehaw Junction in Mobile, Alabama, Brent. So it is. It was rather difficult. Like, one of my friends did warn me, like, people were gonna run into me with their carts, and people were. Like, it was like packed, and it was like many people were very rude about it being packed too.
Yeah.
and most of the employees there, like Bill did ask like one of the employees, like, "Hey, I hope that you get Oh, okay, the Buc-ee's in Alabama. Okay, sorry. Yeehaw Junction was in Florida. And if you were, and I believe they had a second location somewhere in Texas at one point. They closed the Texas location. I know they closed first, and then they closed the Florida location in like the 80s at some point. So, but like, yeah, like I literally Yeehaw Junction. We stopped there when I was a kid. You could pick up touristy like things, just like you can. You could have bought camping equipment at this place, and you could buy cooking camping gear at Buc-ee's. Yeah, the Cracker Barrel stuff is like the tea towels and like the ornamentary stuff that you can find. It was just, yeah, it was an experience. And then to see line dancing with people tailgating in the parking lot was like, people were like parked outside of people's parked cars where they were eating at the tail end of their cars, so that when these people finished eating and then went back into their cars to pull out and leave, people were just waiting for them to like leave so that they could park, and they sat and watched people eat.
Wow.
I was like, okay, but good thing is Buc-ee's is open 24/7. So if you don't want to go when it's very busy, you literally can just wait until the dead of the night. I highly doubt tons of people are going to bring their family to Buc-ee's at like midnight.
Yeah, but at midnight I'm generally in bed anyway. So
Yeah. We went around like 5-6 o'clock.
like
So
it's for me it's a special trip up just to see a gas station. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I
I'm
have to
not
travel
that
south
excited,
to get
but-
there, so I have to travel south to get to the Buc-ee's that everyone has been visiting. I'm like, okay, I mean not too much. Like I'm 2 exits up. It's basically all.
because it's essentially where the Johnson's Corner is. I mean, that's still a little bit of a trek for me, but not much.
So Johnstone's Corner is the next exit before my exit to go to my house, going north.
Yeah.
Johnstone's Corner is like in between the 2 exits that I have to travel.
Yeah,
And when you go by Johnstone's Corner, it's like dead.
yeah. I kind of figured because they weren't taking the Buc-ee's seriously.
Oh no, I think that they like me and Bill talked about it, and I was like, yeah, they should have just sold the Buc-ee's.
Yeah. And they
Because
didn't want to because they weren't taking it seriously. And even up to the arrival of it, they still weren't taking it seriously because they could have really pushed and made Johnson and really kind of upsold Johnson's Corner and really pushed it to be better. And it's like they just didn't give a shit.
yeah.
I
Not
bet
wrong.
you'll see Johnson's Corner sadly go away in the next couple of years unless the management starts to care more.
I mean, their restaurant hasn't been doing well for a while. Like the only thing
Yeah, because it serves shit. Like,
yeah, like Their
I can't
famous
be kind about
their
that.
famous cinnamon rolls are no longer good.
Well, and
As
they
a
weren't being
side,
made in house.
Yeah.
I'm just making a side note here that this is exactly what you were just talking about, Pepper. So I have
Oh
now
yeah,
seen.
that's what I was saying. But like, so when it's going down, it like his version of for his tartan is like it's actually part of the actual kilt
Yeah.
itself.
It looks like it's part of the fly on this one, but yeah. Either way, I just wanted to show you. You can return to talking about Bucky's. I just wanted to real quickly break it down and say that I had found exactly what you were talking about. Just so we had that there. I'm going and saving pictures of Scotty in tartan.
Oh, I'm very sorry, Brent. We'll see you when you get back.
So yeah, it's not that I don't want to see the place. It's just right now it's a little too new and a little too busy.
And a little too crazy. Just my
Mhm.
thought.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, I've already seen like Bucky's cup showing up at work. I heard the the wall of jerky is interesting.
Wall of Jerky. They have a whole entire section which is like a New York deli. That's nothing but like it's deli jerky.
Deli.
Like you go up to the counter, you select your jerky. They weigh it out like it's charcuterie.
Oh,
I mean, the good thing
interesting.
is, huh? I mean,
I
for
didn't say
that
anything.
part, it's
I
actually
was
fun.
listening to you.
Yeah, like they have a bakeries. They have a baked goods section. Their barbecue area is like in the center, and they do like weird singing and stuff like that, or like screaming into the crowd for that when they're cutting up meat. That was an experience. Trying to think what else that we saw. They were out of a bunch of clothing. Seeing the Bucky's mascot in Easter garb with like rabbit ears and stuff, that was weird. But outside of that, like I'm happy I went. I'm glad I'm not going to go anytime soon again. You okay there?
Yeah.
So, I finished what I was working on and I posted it on Instagram.
Sounds good to me.
And it's almost 12 o'clock. So,
Yep.
Guy, how long is your show on Mondays?
Oh, I started late, so I figured I would end late. But I don't have to. I don't have to stick around for much longer. I just was. But I mean, Brian showed up, or Ken showed up, so it's been a long time. So I'm kind of like, hey, I like the idea of visiting and having him here and stuff. So, and apparently Brent has to go count wall outlets, so you can drop out anytime you need, and I'll keep going for a little while longer. I'm now just doing research, which is why I've switched to just this, because I'm clicking around going, well, what do I want to do with all this stuff? So.
So how's things been?
Well, I mean,
It's been long time no talk.
Right? Been hanging out in school. So that's been... Which I don't think I'm going to do school today. I'm looking at the weather and I'm like, well, maybe not. I also think my professor has gotten stuck in Minneapolis, so there's that.
I know that Lee got stuck in Chicago. He was supposed to come home earlier today.
Right.
And he's stuck till 8 p.m. there.
That's a thing. So, yeah. But I haven't heard from my professor. But that said, I'm kind of thinking that I may or may not. Actually, you know what? I will go check my phone to see what my phone says.
I just hope that you don't have like any type of weird conditions with your enrollment.
No, today starts the enrollment process for fall though, which is cool.
Like when I was doing my master's program, I could not miss 2 days worth of courses. Like in person.
Right. Oh, he updated it and said he will be at class today. Which may mean that I'll probably have to bow out here in a minute or two, because that means I'm going ahead and head out to the class. Which I should do anyway.
Mm.
So that's a good thing.
Yep. And when you bow out, I'll probably bow out as well. I got a lot of things to do and very little time to do on that.
It's good to have you here for, even if it was just for a little bit. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I'm just glad to have you.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, with that being said, I would say that it's a good stopping point for myself. So
yeah, we're at the noon part of the day, so I think that's probably a good idea too. So I'll go ahead and close out the show, and just in time for Brent to come back, I'll close out the show. So, But it's good to see you, Ken. It's good to see you, Pepper. I'm glad to have both of you here. You make me happy having you here. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for joining me, Brent. And as always, everybody, keep your eyes on the stars. I'll see you later.